Hi guys. So in this particular recording, we are going to talk about technical SEO. Okay, the theoretical version of technical SEO, and we'll also be looking at a tool, which is Google Search Central. Okay, I'll show you how to use that tool as well, and the interface, the basic dashboard, and the interface about it. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's move on. So before you watch this, as I mentioned, I know we have completed on-page SEO, but as I mentioned in the previous recordings, also make sure you watch the SEO recording, introduction to SEO recording, because there I have also mentioned about on page, technical, and off page. We haven't done off page yet. So that's the reason I'm asking you to watch this. So at least you'll get the basic understanding of these topics which are there. Okay. So let's move on. I'll share my screen and let's talk a little bit of theory about technical SEO. Okay. So this slide, I mean, this is the title slide, but let's move on. So, introduction to technical SEO. So, as we spoke about, there are three types of SEO which are present: on page, off page, and technical. So, this is the third type, you can say, um, of SEO, right? Technical SEO. So, let's talk about what is technical SEO. So, this is basically optimizing your website for Google crawling. Okay. So Google crawling is a term which you have also saw see which you have seen in on page SEO as well. Google crawling is when if you have kept your website on the Google search engine, for example, right? Google crawling is a bot which will analyze your website and accordingly it will rank your website. Okay. So once your website is completed and it's ready to be deployed on the Google search engine, okay, using the domain, okay. So that's when it will jump onto your website and it will analyze it and then accordingly it will rank. So as we discussed also in the previous recording, that depending on your keywords, mix of short tail and long tail, which I've also mentioned earlier, right? Keyword should be a mix of short tail and long tail. So depending on these, what's the quality of your keywords? What's the quality of probably backlinks if you have used any, right? Depending on these, it will rank your website. So Google crawling is a bot which is there to test, how well your website is and how well should it be ranked on the search engine. Okay. So basically, technical SEO helps the search engines access, interpret, and index your site more effectively. Okay. So as I said, Google, before Google crawler comes onto your website, technical SEO, which is Google Search Console and Search Central. If you remember in the last recording, one of the previous recordings, we have tried using Search Console, I believe, but that had you have to give the domain, but we'll use Search Central today, okay, and talk a little bit about that. So that is what technical is SEO is. It's basically the technical version of it. Okay, pretty much related to the coding version of it. We won't cover that much of coding here, so you'll understand what this is and what it is used for. A little bit about the practical application as well. Okay, so basically, as I mentioned, this is there to help search engines access, interpret, and index your site more effectively. Okay, now let's move on. So, why does it matter? If we have to look at it, why does technical SEO matter? You must have got that doubt as well, right? So, why does it matter? It matters basically, it increases the crawlability and indexation. Crawlability, okay. Now there's Google crawling, which is there. It's a bot which is sensing your website, which is looking at your website and analyzing your website, correct? So it increases that. It makes your site better. Okay. And second point again, it improves the user experience. Correct. We'll see how does that, do that and everything, but it generally improves the user experience of it. Not the user interface, the user experience. Okay. How good it is for the user to use your website. Right. And optimization, mobile optimization, responsiveness, site loading speed. We've discussed all of these things. So that all these all come under user experience. Okay. Boost search engine rankings, obviously, right? Technical SEO will obviously boost the search engine rankings. For example, let me take let's say an example. Um, let's say if I have my own website, or let's say there is Coursera's website, for example, okay, and if I want to rank it, okay, if I want to rank it, right, I'll use few, you know, technical SEO tools, let's say Search Console and Search Central also, right? And I'll see how can it be ranked on Google. It can be boosted. Right? The ranking can be boosted. Boosted in the sense, if it's on the third page as of now, I can take it to the first page of the SERP, if you remember, search engine result page. Okay. And it can also increase the site performance. So it can make it faster. Site loading speed, responsiveness, overall user experience of the site will also be quicker or faster, right? So technical SEO also supports in increasing the site performance, right? So that's why it matters. Okay, let's move on. So creating robot.txt and sitemap XML files. So as we mentioned, I think in one of the previous classes where I spoke about introduction to SEO, we have covered a little bit about robot.txt and sitemap.xml, at least the introduction of it. So we'll just see how can we create that. Okay, so robots.txt it's a text file basically, which is instructing the search engine bots which page to crawl, which page to not. For example, again, let's say my home page is ready and my products page is ready. Okay, so using the robot.txt, it's a text file which will instruct the search engine bots, which I said the crawling Google crawling bots, to only crawl on my home page and my products page, not my about us or any other page, because it's not ready yet up to the mark. I'm still updating that, right? So I can do that. I can specify that using robot.txt. That's why it's very important. Okay. And this is placed right in the root directory. It's a little bit of technical thing, but you just have to know these little bit of things to work it out as well. So it's placed directly in the root directly. Direct. Okay. Sitemap.xml. What is this? This is basically where it lists all the URLs on a website to guide the search engines. For example, let us see that. Let us just come back. For example, let me go to coursera.com, the website. Okay. And this is the homepage, coursera.com. For example, I just want to go to, let's say, AI engineer. That's probably another course. This is a page, coursera.com courses slash AI engineer. That's a page. That's a URL. Okay. Projects. This is another URL. Correct. Blogs. This is another URL. Events. This is another URL. So there are different URLs on the same website. So as we have seen it earlier also, domain, subdomain, root domain, if you remember, root domain is the main one. Subdomains are which is given. So this is a subdomain, coursera.com/events. Okay. So all these URLs, oh, sorry, I think it can go here, right? So all these URLs are there. I mean, we are listing that on this sitemap XML to guide the search engine. And okay, I have these many pages, these many URLs. You can use these to crawl. And then depending on that, you can analyze and then you can rank it accordingly. We can do that. So this helps in better indexing, especially for large sites. For example, CourseFit is a large site. So you have the home page. Under that, you have events, right? You have courses. Under that, you have five, six courses, which again are having a dynamic pages, right? So at least it will have at least 20 to 30 pages. So that's a large site. Overall, I'm saying contact about us, etc., right? So that's a large site. So sitemap.xml will help obviously for better indexing in the large site for these large and dynamic sites. Okay. So these are what robo.txt and sitemap XML are. Okay. So if we can move on, there are few core web vitals. There are three core web vitals. We talk about that a little bit, right? So core metrics. So there is something called as LCP, which is called as largest contentful paint. That is for the loading performance, site loading speed, right? Site loading speed, we've spoken about it again and again. So if you are opening a website, let's say, right, and it's loading for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, will you stay on that website? No. You'll get a negative impression on that website. Correct? You won't open it again and again. So if you have to open it again and again, and the loading speed should obviously be better. Correct? The loading performance should be better. The site loading speed should be better. Correct? So LCP is there to take care of that loading performance. Okay. There's something called as FID. FID is basically first input delay. This checks the interactivity of the website. Interactivity. How interactive is the website? Is there a CTA button? Are there internal links in the website? If I'm coming onto the website, let's say Coursera's website again. Let's go back. Let's go back to the home page. Okay. So if I'm here on the home page, if I'm clicking on this button, this is a CTA button again because start learning. If I'm clicking here, it'll take me to some other page or a section. So I'm clicking on it, it's taking me to explore section. DevOps with AWS or whatever courses are there, they're listed here. Correct? So this is the CTA button. So how interactive is the site? So what all these guys are present, recognized by, and courses and etc., whatever these guys have presented, right? So are these interactive? How well is the interaction of the website to the user? That is checked by FID. Okay. And CLS is something, cumulative layout shift. So this is about the visual stability. Again, coming on to Coursera's website, how good are the visuals of the website? Let's go back to, let's just remove this. Let's say we'll go to digital marketing course, for example. Okay, once we open this, how good is the visual stability of this course, right? For example, as an image, it's loading and 70 plus hours or whatever it's written. The tools are given. So how good it is this visually is also very important, right? So course outcomes, top recruiters, etc., whatever is given here, right? How good is this visually? So why is it important, right? Visual stability is important because if I'm looking at a site, it should obviously be attractive to me. It should not be like a plain blank website, which is not at all attractive, right? So website should be attractive in a certain sense, right? So that is also very important. So that is taken care by CLS. Okay. So why is web vitals important? Why are these core metrics important? So these are the direct impact on user experience. As I've told in the earlier slide, loading performance, user experience, interactivity, user experience, visual stability, user experience. Why? If someone is coming onto the website, the loading performance is bad. I won't look at the website. I won't come on the website again and just be in my mind that website is not loading quickly. If it's good, I have a good impression at the start of it as well. Right? Interactivity. If I'm interacting well, if I'm staying on the website for more amount of time, that means the user experience is good, right? If the user experience is not good, if the website is bad, I won't stay on the website for more time. Correct? And the visual stability is bad, I won't stay on the website, right? So these are directly impacting the user experience. Okay, that is why it's important. And Google uses these as a ranking signals: loading performance, interactivity, visual stability. Okay, these three, Google, when it crawls through your website, it uses these as a ranking signal to rank your website higher and higher. Okay, so this is about core web vitals. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about another topic. So page speed, user experience, and mobile optimization. I know we have discussed this again and again, but let's go into a bit of detail. Okay. So these are there to improve the page speed. How can you improve the page speed? We'll talk about that. Okay. So you should minimize the CSS and JavaScript files. Okay. That's about technical thing. So internally, if you're coding the website, you have to minimize the files which are there. And you also have to use lazy loading images, in the sense what you have to do is reduce the size of the compress the size of the image. For example, if it's 2 MB or 3 MB, reduce it to 100 KB, or let's say 200 KB or whatever, 10 KB, whatever. Reduce so that it loads a bit quickly. Okay. And enable caching and compression. Okay. So compression, cache, cache, clearing the cache, right? You can remove or reduce the storage or clear the storage to improve the site speed, right? Use less, sized versions on your website, like images with less size, videos with less size, right? So use these so that you can improve the speed. Okay, now how can you enhance the user experience? You have to clear the layout and intuitive navigation. You should have a clear, I'm sorry, you should have a clear layout and intuitive navigation. Layout, in the sense, website structure is important. For example, I have the hero section, then I have the CTA button just taking me to the products or any other section. And then I have a basic section just talking about the company again. So that's like a structure. That's like a layout of the website. And intuitive in the navigation, in the sense, where am I navigating? Okay. Where should a customer go when he's coming onto the website? Very, very important. These small things are important. Okay. And fast loading interactive elements. Obviously, if your site is not loading fast, if your elements are not loading fast, if your text images are not loading fast, it's not does not guarantee that the user will stay for a long amount of time, long period of time at least, right? So very, very important. Mobile optimization. You should have a responsive design. We have spoken about mobile optimization again and again, again and again, right? So you should have a responsive design. Responsive in the sense, whatever you're clicking should be good responsive, right? If you're clicking on a button, it should take to that page immediately. It should not take too much of time again, right? And the button should be touch friendly and menus also should be touch friendly. Okay, touch friendly in the sense if I'm touching it, like clicking on it once, it's taking me. It's not like I'm clicking on it 10 times and then it's moving to the another page. It should not be like that because the user should have a good experience when he's on your website. So that's about the user experience, right? Page speed, UX, and mobile optimization. Okay, let's move on. Now, how to fix broken links and redirect errors. We'll talk about this. A little bit of importance of this as well. We'll talk about that. Okay. So we have three more slides left. Once that's done, we'll move on to Google Search Central for around 5 to 10 minutes. We'll talk about that because I don't think technical issue. I mean, it is important, but I don't think at this point of time you have to sit on it and cover the technical aspects of SEO. Obviously, it is important to understand it at least at this level. But yes, we'll talk about that. So broken links. So it uses tools such as Screaming Frog and Search Console. Search Console we can't use, but we'll try using Screaming Frog today. Okay, and it is there to replace or remove dead links. Dead links in the sense links which are not working, it is there to replace or remove those. Okay, redirects. Redirects in the sense there is something called as 301 for permanent redirects. For example, you have seen 404 error, 301. Like these are for permanent redirection to another page. Okay, so to avoid chains and loops, also redirects is there. Okay, SEO impact. So to the SEO impact of SEO, I mean the impact to SEO because of these broken links and redirect errors is that it reduces the crawl waste. Okay, waste in the sense if you do have like let's say a random write-up on your website, right, which is not even a use to rank your site, for example, and you know that. So these, if you can remove this, fixing the broken links and redirecting the errors, right, you can reduce the crawl waste. Okay, and you obviously can improve the trust which you're getting from the user and site authority. We have spoken about domain authority, authority score, everything, but site authority is also very important. Domain authority is a thing, and there is something called as page authority, PA and DA, very important. Okay, so these are there for us, right? So mobile optimization best practices, what you should do. Okay, we'll talk about this more because this is important. Okay, key practices. You should use responsive frameworks like Bootstrap. There's something called as Bootstrap, which are responsive frameworks. Okay. And you should avoid flashy and I won't say flashy, but flash and unplayable content, which is not able to be played, or there's a video in your website which is not able to be played on the mobile. Avoid using that. No point of having it on the website. You can remove it, right? Then optimize your images for mobile. Obviously, we said optimize in the sense reduce the size. The probably the clarity should be good enough, but the size should be less. Okay, you should do that and test it with Google's mobile friendly test. That's there. Okay, that's there on the mobile sites. We can do that. There is something called as page speed insights. We can get the optimization score and can also see how good is the mobile optimization from them. So these are two tools which are there. You can know them. I mean, you should know them at some point of time. So I've just mentioned that here. Okay. Now, and I think this is the last slide. So understanding and implementing AMP. So what is AMP? Accelerated mobile pages. So what are these? Okay. So AMPs are lightweight versions of web pages that load instantly on mobile. Okay. So lightweight versions in the sense, for example, my website is a huge backend server. It's a huge thing on backend. My there is a server which is balancing. There's a cloud which is having a storage and everything, right? If you're using again on the same thing on mobile, the mobile can't take so much of bandwidth, right? So there is something called as AMP, which are lightweight versions of these web pages that can load instantly on mobiles. Okay. So these benefits include super fast loading. Obviously, your website should load fast. Better mobile SEO, right? You can rank better on your mobile phones and higher engagement and lower bounce rates. If you remember what are bounce rates, guys? What are bounce rates? Bounce rates and conversion rates are opposite of each other. Bounce rates are basically when a customer is or when a user is coming onto your website, he's not interacting well with your website, but he's just going out of the page or closing the page without taking any action. That comes under bounce rate in terms of percentage. Okay, percentage of users, right? So these are the benefits of AMP. You can use these as well. You should use this obviously, right? Because there are too many good benefits. And how to implement this? You can use the AMP HTML framework, more of technical thing again here also, and validate it till Google AMP test. There is something called as Google AMP test. I'll show you that after this slide is done first. Once we show you Google AMP test, then I'll move on to Google Search Center, a little bit of the dashboard overview. Okay. So let's move on to the AMP test. Let's look at what that is. Google AMP test. Let's see what that is. Right. It's again in Google Search Console, but let's see if that's working. Let's enter a URL. Okay. Let's see if coursera.com is there and I'm trying to enter that. Yeah, this is taking a minute or two. Let's see how it is. Okay. That's a live URL which is there. So that's testing the URL. Okay. And looking at it, what's the test of the URL on the website, right? So let's see what will come. So I don't know if it's good, bad, whatever. Let's try testing it. So this is not an AMP page. So these Coachita guys haven't used AMP, right? So they haven't integrated it on their mobile, right? So they can do that, and once that's done, you can see it here. Okay, that's called as Google's AMP test. Okay, now let's look at Google Search Central. We have looked at some control in the previous class. We couldn't use that, but we'll try to looking about Google Search Central. What is it and what can we do that? Right? How can you get this? Is the interface basically. Okay, so you can do to improve the SEO of your website. If you're a business owner or marketer, it does give a few things and how can you do it? Everything is mentioned here, right? And let's see, let get started and talk a little bit about this, right? So how can you do it? First thing is obviously crawling and indexing, right? That is what is done. How can you, it talks a little bit about crawling and indexing, okay? And ranking and search appearances, right? Favicons in the sense if you can see the logo here. For example, Canva logo is there and Coursera logo is here. So these are known as favicons, okay? Google logo. These are favicons. Important again in SEO. Okay. And Google Discover something new. We'll talk about that here. Right. How does content appear in Google Discover? So content is automatically eligible to appear if it's indexed by Google and meets the Discover content policy. So not only Google Discover, anything which meets any website which meets the Google policy that will be discovered. For example, if you give your phone number, bank details on the website, sometimes Google can't rank it. If you're using third-party websites and designing your website using Wix, WordPress, Google won't rank it or it won't allow because you're giving your details, private details on your on the you're making it public basically. So Google would generally won't allow this to happen. Okay. So the reason you should, I mean, if you're including something like that, you should make your website coded. Coded in the sense you have the backend servers, you can use Google Search Console, Google Search. Central is just for a theoretical thing, actually. Console is when you use it practically. So if you're doing that, then you can include those, right? If I go on to Google Search Console, let's try it again, right? It asks us to enter the domain, obviously. Let's try doing that. Let's try entering coursera.com. I think it won't come, but let's try doing that. Okay. Um, right. So I don't think this is done today also, but let's see. Okay, no. So if I have my domain, if I have the access to my GoDaddy, as you have seen earlier also, then only I can use Google Search Console. So I think that's it for today's class, guys. Remember the AMP test, that's there. And remember a little bit of theoretical things as well. Okay, mainly I'm asking, telling you again and again, remember what is technical SEO? Why does it matter? A little bit about robot.txt and sitemap.xml, core web vitals. Obviously, everything, whatever I've covered today is important. Broken links, redirect errors, little less important, but mobile optimization and AMP is important. As you have looked, looked about AMP test. So I hope that is also clear. Okay, so I'll just stop presenting. So I just wanted to add on one more thing, that if you are very interested in learning SEO, just a small suggestion for you guys also, so that you guys will learn and understand it better, right? Apart from using looking at the, let's say the slide or the recording of the SEO class, and looking at these on page, off page technical SEO as well, if you can use Google Search Console, right? If you have the access to the domain, as we have seen, right? That's much better, so that you get a better understanding of that particular topic, and so that you can use it in practical. So because we don't have access to these particular domains of GoDaddy, and then we can use them, but if you really have that, you can use it. But how can you use it and everything can be discussed, right, separately. But as of now, I think we don't have any access to use it, so I think it's okay, it's fine. But you understand the basic crux of it, and obviously that we have covered in the theoretical version, and a little bit about practical about AMP and what is Google Search Console, a little bit about Google Discovery, and everything was covered. Okay, so that's it from my end, guys, for technical SEO. So I hope it is clear. So I know it's a short, very, very short module, very, very less in time, probably half an hour of a recording or something, but still, it is a little bit of importance. So I hope you guys understand this. So because I have covered the important things which are needed for you to also learn, I think it will be better for you to even understand this, right? So thank you so much, guys. That's it for from my side for this particular topic, technical SEO. Okay, any questions we'll surely discuss on the live lecture if we have any time soon. Okay. So meanwhile, just learn these particular theoretical things so that it will be useful for you anytime when you're using these particular tools, or if someone asks you in general also, it will be useful. Okay, very, very important terms: crawling, indexing, Google Discovery, and the core web vitals, and mobile optimization, page speed, UX, everything is important. Okay, make sure you cover this and learn. Take time to look at this recording and understand it better. Probably half an hour recording also. You can take 1 hour, 1 hour, 20 minutes to understand it properly, and then you get the clear crux of technical SEO. Okay, I'm not making it like a 1 hour, 2 hour recording so that it will take more of time to understand. But even if it's half an hour, 40 minutes, make sure it's clear. You take time and look at it and make notes of it so that it's very, very clear to you. Okay, so that's it from my end, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next recording or the next topic which we are going to cover. Thank you so much, guys.